The first rays of morning sunlight illuminate the charred remains of the R ranch as smoke still rises from smoldering cattle corpses, their bodies dotting the Texas grassland like dark islands in a sea of frost. The Mexican cartel's message burns clear across 300 acres of destroyed livelihood. But they made one critical mistake. They never checked the background of the ranch's owner, former Marine Scout sniper Marcus Reeves, who watches the destruction through his rifle scope with the same cold precision he once used in Fallujah. Dawn breaks over the Guadalupe mountain foothills as Marcus Reeves performs his morning patrol of the R ranch's perimeter. 20 years of military discipline don't fade easily. His boots move silently through frost-covered grass, eyes scanning the horizon with practiced efficiency. The cattle graze peacefully in the distance, their breath visible in the cold morning air. His ranch hands won't arrive for another hour, leaving him alone with 3,000 acres of responsibility and the weight of memories that never quite leave. The first warning comes from his Belgian Malinois, Shadow, a retired military working dog who suddenly goes rigid, nose testing the wind. Marcus knows that posture. He's seen it countless times during operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Something's wrong. The dog's ears prick forward, a low growl building in his throat. Through the morning mist, Marcus catches the scent too. Diesel fuel, out of place in the crisp mountain air. He drops to a crouch, years of combat training taking over as he moves toward the nearest rise. The ranch's main access road stretches below, and through his binoculars he spots them. 3 black SUVs moving with purpose, no headlights, maintaining professional spacing. These aren't local rustlers or opportunistic thieves. The vehicle's movement speaks of training, of coordination. Marcus recognizes the telltale signs of a coordinated operation. His hand moves to the satellite phone on his belt, the only reliable communication out here in the mountain shadows. No signal. Radio check to his ranch hand's frequencies returns. Only static. They're using jammers, professional-grade equipment that shouldn't be in civilian hands. This isn't a random raid, it's a planned operation with military-grade support. Through his binoculars, he watches the SUVs split up with practiced precision, each vehicle taking pre-planned positions around the ranch's perimeter. The men who emerge move with tactical discipline, weapons ready, maintaining spacing, checking angles of approach. Their gear is high-end, their movements coordinated. These aren't cartel foot soldiers. These are trained operators. Marcus's mind races through scenarios, years of combat experience calculating odds and options. The ranch houses 60 head of prize breeding stock, each animal worth more than most yearly salaries. But the cartel doesn't need to steal cattle. They want to send a message. The timing, the precision, the equipment, this is about territory, about control. His radio crackles to life, a single burst of Spanish cutting through the electronic interference. Zona asegurada, procedan con la operación. Zone secured. Proceed with the operation. The voice is cold, professional, someone used to giving orders and having them obeyed without question. Marcus moves like a ghost through familiar terrain, each step placed with the precision that kept him alive through 3 combat tours. Shadow follows silently, the dog's training matching his handler's stealth. They reach the barn just as the first Molotov cocktail arcs through the morning air, its flame trail beautiful and terrible against the dawn sky. The explosion of fire and glass targets the main cattle pen, sending the animals into panic. More Molotovs follow, precisely targeted to create chaos, to ensure maximum damage. These aren't random attacks. Each strike is calculated, designed to destroy specific infrastructure. Marcus watches through his scope as men in tactical gear methodically torch buildings, equipment, and livestock. His finger rests beside his rifle's trigger, not on it. Muscle memory from thousands of hours of training. He could take shots, could start dropping targets. The range is well within his capabilities, the angle's favorable, but 20 years of combat experience tell him this isn't the time. There are too many unknowns, too many variables. They came prepared for resistance, expecting a fight. Taking action now would only play into their plans. A new vehicle approaches, different from the others. A modified pickup truck carrying what looks like a mobile command center. The man who steps out moves with authority, his tactical gear more sophisticated than the others. Even at this distance, Marcus recognizes military bearing, the kind that comes from years of professional service. This isn't just an enforcer, this is someone who understands strategy. The commander surveys the destruction with clinical detachment, speaking into a tactical radio. More Molotovs ignite the morning, their flames reflecting off polished gear and practiced movements. The message is clear. This isn't just about destroying property. It's about demonstrating control, about showing what happens to those who stand. In their way, Marcus's scope finds faces, memorizing features, identifying leaders, and key personnel. His training categorizes threats, analyzing patterns and hierarchies. These aren't ordinary cartel soldiers. Their equipment, their tactics, their coordination all speak of professional military background. Someone's trained them, equipped them, turned them into a precision instrument of terror. Shadow's growl deepens as more vehicles arrive, their engines purring with maintained efficiency. Through his scope, Marcus counts 30 men, all armed, all moving with tactical purpose. Their weapons aren't cheap cartel knockoffs. These are high-end systems, the kind that require serious money and connections to acquire. The commander's voice carries across the property, crisp orders in Spanish directing the systematic destruction of everything Marcus has built. Fire blooms across the ranch as more buildings ignite, the flames painting the morning sky in shades of orange and black. The cattle's panicked bellowing mixes with the crackling of flames and the professional efficiency of men conducting a military operation. Marcus watches as they plant charges on key structures: the main house, the equipment barn, the grain silos. The explosives aren't crude. They're military-grade demolitions, placed with expert knowledge to ensure maximum structural damage. These men aren't just destroying property, they're erasing its ability to function. His satellite phone vibrates, a prearranged signal from Carlos, his head ranch hand, 3 short pulses, emergency protocol, stay hidden, gather intel. Smart kid. Fighting now would be suicide against these numbers, this equipment. The cartel came prepared for resistance, expecting traditional response. They don't understand that some predators wait for the right moment, studying their prey before striking. The commander moves with purpose toward the main house, his men spreading out in practiced formation. Through his scope, Marcus spots familiar faces, men he's seen in town, at the feed store, at local diners. They've been watching, planning, gathering. Intelligence. This isn't a random attack. It's a calculated statement. More explosions rock the morning as charges detonate in sequence, bringing down buildings with engineered precision. The cattle scatter in panic, some already fallen to precise shots, not killed for meat, but executed to send a message. The cartel isn't interested in theft. They're demonstrating absolute control. Marcus's mind shifts to combat mathematics, analyzing angles, cataloging resources, identifying vulnerabilities. The cartel brought overwhelming force, professional equipment, tactical expertise. They expect resistance, are prepared for it, but they made one critical mistake. They think they're hunting a rancher, not a Marine who spent 15 years perfecting. The art of patience, of choosing the right moment to strike. Through the smoke and chaos, Marcus catches fragments of radio traffic, orders given, positions confirmed, next phases discussed. This isn't just about his ranch, it's part of something larger. The precision, the resources invested, the professional execution. This is about establishing dominance over the entire region. Shadow's ears prick toward new sounds. Helicopters approaching from the south, their rotor's rhythm speaking of civilian craft modified for tactical operations. More resources, more demonstration of power. The cartel isn't just sending a message. To one rancher, they're announcing their presence to the entire region. Marcus's satellite phone vibrates again. Carlos confirming all ranch hands are clear, no casualties. Small mercy. They were smart, stayed away when they spotted the vehicles. Now they'll be his eyes in town, his network for gathering intelligence. You don't survive 3 tours as a scout sniper without learning the value of patience, of preparation. The commander's voice rises again, ordering final preparations. Through his scope, Marcus watches them place more charges, ensure maximum destruction. The cartel wants to make an example, to show what happens to those who operate in what they consider their territory. They expect submission, expect fear to accomplish what violence begins. But as Marcus watches his life's work burn, as smoke rises into the morning sky, a cold certainty settles in his bones. They chose the wrong target, made assumptions about the wrong man. They see a rancher, a civilian, an easy message to send. They don't understand that some men are forged in combat, shaped by experiences that turn violence into mathematics, revenge into strategy. The sun climbs higher as Marcus and Shadow withdraw silently, using terrain and training to stay invisible. Behind them, explosions continue to reshape the landscape of the R ranch. But in destroying his property, the cartel has only succeeded in removing his last reason for restraint. They wanted to send a message. Now he'll send one of his own. Carlos Martinez crouches in the shadows of Broken Ridge's abandoned copper mine, his calloused hands steady as he documents cartel movements through his camera's telephoto lens. The Mexican-American ranch hand knows these hills better than anyone. 15 years working the R ranch taught him every trail, every hiding spot, every vantage point. Now those same skills serve a different purpose as he tracks the men who destroyed his workplace. The cartel's presence has grown since the ranch burning. Black SUVs moving through town with impunity, armed men conducting security patrols with military precision. They're establishing control systematically, professionally, like an occupying force rather than common criminals. Through his lens, Carlos captures faces, vehicles, patterns of movement. Each image adds to the intelligence. Gathering Operation Marcus set in motion. Below in the valley, a convoy of vehicles approaches the old Webster property. The former cattle ranch sold mysteriously last month, its previous owners leaving town without explanation. Now, it serves as the cartel's forward operating base, its strategic location providing clear views of the surrounding territory. The vehicles move with practiced discipline, maintaining proper spacing and security protocols. Carlos's radio crackles softly, a pre-arranged signal from Mia Chen, the local veterinarian and former Army combat medic. 3 clicks, target confirmed. Through his lens, he spots the figure emerging from the lead vehicle, Manuel Herrera, the cartel's regional commander. His movements carry military bearing, his tactical gear speaking of professional training rather than cartel flash. The camera's shutter clicks rapidly as Carlos documents Herrera's security detail. 8 men, all moving with coordinated precision. Their weapons aren't street-level hardware but sophisticated systems with thermal optics and suppressors. Someone's providing military-grade equipment, turning street thugs into professional operators. Mia's voice whispers through their secure channel. Multiple vehicles approaching from the south. Looks like another shipment. Her position in the town's veterinary clinic provides perfect cover for gathering intelligence. Animals need care, regardless of who controls the territory, and cartel members prove surprisingly talkative around the attractive Asian-American vet. Carlos adjusts his position, using natural cover to remain hidden as more vehicles arrive. the operation has grown. Beyond simple territory control, the cartel isn't just establishing presence, they're building infrastructure. Construction equipment moves in and out of the Webster property daily, suggesting significant underground development. Through his lens, he spots familiar faces among the cartel's operations, former military contractors, private security specialists, men whose training speaks of professional background rather than street violence. Herrera's built more than just a criminal enterprise. He's assembled a private army. The radio clicks again. Mike Reynolds this time. Former ranch hand and Iraq War veteran, his work at the local hardware store provides perfect cover for monitoring supply movements. Large order just came in. Industrial equipment, way beyond normal ranching needs. They're building something big out there. Carlos documents everything: vehicle numbers, faces, equipment types. The pattern speaks of professional operation, of military-grade logistics. This isn't just about drugs or territory. It's about establishing permanent control. The cartel's turning Broken Ridge into a fortress, using the remote location and sparse population to their advantage. Movement draws his attention. Herrera directing teams with tactical precision as they unload equipment from armored trucks. The commander's background becomes clearer with each observation. His hand signals, his positioning, his tactical awareness all speak of formal military training. Someone taught these men professional warfare. The radio carries Emaya's warning. Drone patrol approaching from the east. Time to move. Carlos packs his equipment with practiced efficiency, leaving no trace of his presence. The cartel's drones sweep the hills regularly, their thermal imaging making traditional surveillance increasingly difficult. But Marcus taught them well: how to avoid detection, how to gather intelligence without compromising position. As Carlos withdraws through hidden trails, his mind catalogues the day's observations. The cartel's operation grows more sophisticated daily. Professional equipment, military tactics, coordinated responses. They're not just occupying territory, they're transforming it, building something that requires serious infrastructure and security. 2 miles east, he reaches the designated rally point, an abandoned ranch house carefully chosen for its tactical advantages. Maya arrives moments later, her medical bag containing more than just veterinary supplies. Mike follows, his truck loaded with building supplies, providing perfect cover for movement through cartel-controlled areas. Inside, Marcus studies their gathered intelligence with cold precision. Maps cover the walls, each marked with cartel positions, patrol routes, observed patterns. The former scout sniper's military training shows in the methodical analysis, the careful documentation of every detail. Shadow lies at his feet. The Belgian, Malinois alert for any approach. They're expanding faster than expected, Mia reports, laying out medical supply requisitions she's documented. These aren't standard trauma kits. They're ordering military-grade combat medical equipment. Whatever, they're building. They're preparing for serious resistance. Mike spreads out hardware store invoices, his construction experience reading between the lines. Underground development, reinforced structures, industrial-grade ventilation systems. This goes way beyond normal cartel operations. They're building something permanent. Marcus absorbs the information, his sniper's patience evident in every measured response. The tactical display shows growing cartel presence, patrol routes, observation posts, drone coverage. They're establishing military-grade security, transforming the region into a controlled zone. Herrera's men move like professionals, Carlos adds, connecting his camera to their secure system. These aren't street soldiers. Someone's trained them, equipped them with serious hardware. Look at their formations, their protocols. This is military-grade operation. The images confirm their suspicions. Cartel forces conducting operations with tactical precision, using sophisticated equipment and coordinated strategies. Marcus studies each detail, his combat experience reading the underlying patterns. They're not just occupying territory, he observes. They're preparing for something bigger. Mia's medical training provides additional insight. The equipment they're ordering, it's not just for trauma response. They're setting up long-term medical facilities, the kind you'd need for sustained operations. Whatever they're building underground, they're planning to staff it permanently. More intelligence flows through their secure network. Drone footage showing construction patterns, thermal imaging revealing underground development, communications intercepts suggesting larger coordination. The cartel's operation extends beyond Broken Ridge, connecting to other sites across the border region. Marcus's tactical assessment cuts through speculation. They chose this location carefully. Remote terrain, sparse population, perfect for establishing forward operating bases. But they made one critical mistake. His fingers trace patrol routes on the tactical display. They think like military operators, expect military response. That makes them predictable. The team absorbs his analysis, each member contributing specialized knowledge. Mia's medical expertise identifies vulnerabilities in their medical supply lines. Mike's construction background reveals structural weaknesses in their developing infrastructure. Carlos's intimate knowledge of the terrain provides attack angles they haven't considered. Through the windows, cartel drones maintain their patrol. Patterns, sweeping the hills with thermal imaging and sophisticated sensors, but they're looking for traditional threats, expecting conventional resistance. They don't understand that some predators are patient, gathering intelligence before striking. Marcus outlines their next phase: coordinated intelligence gathering, identification of key targets, preparation for precision strikes. The cartel brought military expertise to their operation, but they face opponents forged in actual combat, shaped by real warfare rather than training exercises. The sun sets over Broken Ridge as the team continues their analysis, each piece of intelligence adding to their understanding of the cartel's operation. In destroying the R ranch, Herrera's forces demonstrated their power, their professional capabilities. But they never checked their target's background, never understood they weren't just attacking a rancher. Now, as darkness falls, and cartel forces conduct their evening patrols with military precision, the real hunters prepare their response. Sometimes the deadliest predators are the ones you never see coming. The ones who understand that patience is the deadliest weapon of all. Sunset paints the Webster property's security perimeter in shades of amber as Manuel Herrera studies tactical displays in his command center. The former Mexican Special Forces operator's scarred fingers trace patrol routes across high-resolution screens, each movement precise, calculated. Tonight's operation will demonstrate his organization's absolute control over Broken Ridge territory, transforming scattered acts of violence into coordinated authority. His second-in-command, Diego Reyes, approaches with professional efficiency. Surveillance teams report no unusual activity. The locals are learning quickly. The man's tactical gear costs more than most ranchers make in a year, his weapons speaking of military contracts rather than black market deals. All teams are in position for tonight's demonstration. The command center hums with sophisticated equipment, drone control stations, communications arrays, surveillance systems that shouldn't be available to civilian operators. Herrera's transformation of the former ranch into a forward operating base demonstrates resources beyond normal. Cartel capabilities. His men move with practiced discipline, maintaining security protocols that speak of professional training. Through reinforced windows, Herrera watches his security teams conduct their evening patrol rotation. Their movements are precise, coordinated, maintaining overlapping fields of fire even during shift changes. These aren't ordinary cartel soldiers, they're trained operators executing military doctrine with professional efficiency. Report from the construction teams, Diego continues, laying out detailed blueprints. Underground expansion proceeds on schedule. The geology is perfect for our requirements. The documents show sophisticated development, reinforced chambers, specialized ventilation systems, security features that go far beyond normal infrastructure. Herrera studies the plans with cold precision. The R Ranch's destruction served multiple purposes, demonstrating power, eliminating potential resistance, and most importantly, securing the final piece of territory needed for their master project. The region's unique geological features make it perfect for their true objective. Our friends across the border are pleased with our progress, he notes, accessing encrypted communications on a military-grade terminal. Phase 1 completion will demonstrate the effectiveness of our approach. Soon, other regions will understand the benefits of our protection. A surveillance operator calls for attention, his screens showing thermal images of movement in the hills. Probable wildlife maintaining standard patrol pattern. The drones continue their sweeps, sophisticated sensors searching for any sign of resistance. Since the ranch burning, local opposition has been minimal, exactly as planned. Herrera's radio crackles with encrypted traffic as team leaders report status. His operation brings military precision to cartel methodology, transforming traditional criminal enterprise into something more evolved. The weapons, the tactics, the infrastructure, everything demonstrates professional evolution beyond street. Violence, signal from our suppliers, Diego reports, checking encrypted channels. Next shipment includes the specialized equipment we requested, military grade, untraceable. The manifest scrolls across secure screens. Hardware that requires serious connections to acquire, technology that shouldn't be available outside government agencies. Movement on the tactical displays draws Herrera's attention. One of his teams, approaching a local ranch house. The occupants have been resistant to their new reality, refusing to acknowledge changed circumstances. Tonight's operation will adjust their perspective, demonstrate the consequences of defiance. Team 2 in position. The radio confirms as armored vehicles take up tactical positions. The operation proceeds with military precision. Perimeter established, approaches covered, contingencies in place. Herrera's men execute their protocols with professional efficiency, transforming intimidation into strategic operation. Through drone feeds, he watches his teams breach the property. Their movement speaks of professional training, precise, coordinated, overwhelming. The rancher's resistance crumbles against superior numbers and tactical expertise. Another piece of territory secured, another demonstration of absolute control, sir. A surveillance operator's voice carries urgency. Thermal contact grid 7, single signature, moving with purpose. The screens show a heat signature navigating terrain with tactical precision, using cover and concealment with professional skill. Then it vanishes, disappearing from sensors completely. Herrera studies the display, military instincts analyzing. Patterns. The movement wasn't random. It showed training, understanding of surveillance capabilities. Increased drone coverage in that sector, full spectrum scan. Something about the contact triggers warning signals in his combat-trained mind. The command center shifts to elevated alert as additional drones deploy, their sophisticated sensors sweeping the area. But the signature remains invisible, leaving only questions about its nature and purpose. Amateur resistance wouldn't know how to avoid thermal detection, wouldn't understand the tactical implications. Report from the construction site. Diego interrupts, his voice professionally neutral. Seismic sensors detecting unusual patterns. Could be natural geology, but timing suggests otherwise. The data scrolls across secure screens. Vibrations that don't match normal geological activity, disturbances that indicate purposeful movement. Herrera's mind calculates possibilities, combat experience analyzing threats. The R Ranches, Owner disappeared after the burning, leaving no trace for their surveillance to track. Background checks showed nothing significant, just another rancher, another civilian obstacle to progress. But something about this feels different. Team 3 reports completed operation. The radio confirms as vehicles return from the demonstration mission. Local resistance neutralized, message delivered. Professional efficiency transforms violence into methodology, intimidation into strategic advance. But Herrera's attention remains on the anomalous readings. The command center's screens display their expanding control, patrol routes, surveillance coverage, secured territory growing daily. Military precision enables rapid expansion, professional execution ensures minimal effective resistance. Yet something nags at Herrera's combat instincts, warning of unseen threats. Sweep the perimeter, he orders, tactical training responding to instinct. Full security protocols, no standard patterns. His men acknowledge with professional efficiency, adapting patrol routes to prevent predictability. Years of special forces experience taught him to trust combat intuition. Diego studies the tactical displays, his own military background reading deeper patterns. Local behavior is changing. They're adapting too quickly, showing organized response rather than random resistance. The observation triggers additional warning signals in Herrera's tactical assessment. Through sophisticated surveillance systems, they watch Broken Ridge's transformation. Their operation brings military methodology to cartel expansion, replacing chaos with controlled authority. But professional instinct suggests hidden opposition, organized resistance operating beneath observable patterns. Check backgrounds again. Herrera commands, accessing secure databases. Every property owner, every resident, find what we missed. The R ranch is burning, should have demonstrated their dominance, broken local resistance through overwhelming display. Instead, something feels wrong. The command center's screens fill with data as analysts execute his orders. Property records, financial transactions, personal histories, everything that defines Broken Ridge's civilian population. Their operation's success depends on understanding opposition, neutralizing resistance before it organizes. Sir, a communications specialist's voice carries controlled urgency. Pattern in local radio traffic, very sophisticated, almost invisible. The data appears on secure screens, encrypted bursts hidden in normal transmissions, communication that suggests military-grade capabilities. Herrera's combat mathematics shift, tactical assessment adapting to new variables. Professional resistance requires professional response, adjustment of patrol patterns, enhancement of surveillance coverage, elevation of security protocols. His operation brings military precision to cartel methodology, but someone's opposing them with similar expertise. Through reinforced windows, darkness claims Broken Ridge as night patrol teams deploy with tactical discipline. Somewhere in that darkness, something moves with purpose, something that understands military protocols, that knows how to avoid sophisticated surveillance. Herrera's special forces training recognizes the pattern. He's not hunting civilians anymore. Increase security at all sites, he orders. Combat experience driving tactical response. Full alert protocols, enhanced surveillance coverage. His men respond with professional efficiency, adjusting operations to counter unknown threats. But something tells him they're already behind, already reacting to an opponent they don't understand. The command center's sophisticated equipment continues monitoring their territory, transforming Broken Ridge into a controlled zone. But somewhere out there, hidden from thermal imaging and professional surveillance, someone watches with patient purpose. The real question is who, and more importantly, what they're planning. Maya Chen adjusts her microscope in the veterinary, clinic's back office, but her attention focuses on the cartel vehicles passing outside. Through carefully angled mirrors, she tracks their patrol patterns while maintaining her cover. 8 years as an army combat medic in Afghanistan taught her the value of patience, of gathering intelligence while appearing harmless. The clinic's security cameras feed directly to encrypted hard drives, documenting every cartel member who brings in their prized horses or guard dogs. Her role as the town's only vet provides perfect cover for observation. They never suspect the friendly Asian-American veterinarian is cataloging their numbers, their equipment, their tactical procedures. Her radio, hidden beneath medical supplies, chirps quietly, a coded signal from Mike Reynolds. Large shipment arriving at the Webster property. Military-grade medical equipment way beyond normal operations. The hardware store manager's position lets him track supply movements across cartel territory. Through her window's reflection, she watches another patrol pass. 4 men in tactical gear, moving with professional discipline. Their weapons aren't cartel standard, but sophisticated systems with thermal optics and suppressors. Someone's providing serious hardware, transforming thugs into operators. Her computer screen shows thermal imaging of the Webster property, captured by hidden sensors Marcus positioned before the ranch burning. The underground construction continues expanding, requiring specialized medical facilities. The equipment orders she's documented suggest preparation for major operations. The clinic's front door chimes as Diego Reyes enters, leading a Belgian Malinois with an injured paw. Mia maintains her professional demeanor while noting his tactical gear, his weapon configuration, his radio protocols. Every detail adds to their intelligence gathering. Your reputation with working dogs precedes you, Dr. Chen, Diego comments, as she examines the animal. His Spanish carries hints of formal military education. Our security operations require peak performance from our canine units. Mia's hands move with practiced efficiency, her medical training finding the minor injury, while her combat experience analyzes her visitor. His movement, his positioning, his tactical awareness all speak of professional background. These aren't street soldiers, they're trained operators. Just a minor sprain, she reports, administering treatment while documenting another piece of intelligence. The dog's training, its behavior, suggests military working dog protocols. Someone's providing the cartel with specialized capabilities beyond normal criminal enterprise. The radio in her pocket vibrates, Carlos reporting new movement at the copper mine. The cartel's operation keeps expanding, transforming Broken Ridge into a fortified zone. Through her window, she spots more patrols moving with tactical precision, maintaining professional security protocols. Diego studies her certificates while she works, his eyes lingering on her service awards. Interesting background for a small-town vet, he notes casually. Combat medicine provides unique perspectives. His tone suggests more than casual observation. Maya keeps her expression neutral, her hands steady as she bandages the dog's paw. Years of treating wounds under fire taught her to maintain calm under scrutiny. Military experience helps with working dogs, she replies. Many of the same principles apply. The cartel lieutenant's radio crackles with encrypted traffic, patrol updates, security protocols, professional coordination that shouldn't exist in criminal organizations. Maya's combat experience recognizes military methodology, systematic control, rather than random violence. Your skills could be valuable to our operation, Diego suggests as she completes the treatment. We're establishing sophisticated medical facilities. Your expertise would be well compensated. The offer carries subtle threat beneath professional courtesy. Maya maintains her cover, playing the role of civilian medical professional while gathering intelligence. I prefer treating animals, she responds carefully. Less complicated than human patients. Her hands complete the bandaging with practiced efficiency. Through carefully positioned mirrors, she watches more vehicles arrive at the Webster property. Construction equipment moves under armed escort, suggesting continued underground expansion. The cartel's operation grows more sophisticated daily, requiring infrastructure beyond normal criminal enterprise. Diego's radio carries encrypted commands as he prepares to leave. Mia's military training recognizes sophisticated communications, protocols, coordination that speaks of professional background. These men bring tactical precision to cartel methodology. Once alone, she accesses hidden sensors throughout the clinic, downloading gathered intelligence to secure drives. Every cartel member who visits provides information: unit numbers, equipment, types, tactical procedures. The pattern reveals military-grade operation. Her computer displays thermal imaging of underground construction, expanding facilities requiring specialized medical capabilities. The equipment orders she's documented suggest preparation for sustained operations. Something bigger than normal cartel activity drives this development. The radio carries Carlos's update. More supplies arriving, more professional operators establishing control. Mia's combat experience analyzes patterns, recognizing systematic expansion rather than random occupation. The cartel transforms broken ridge with military precision. Through her window, she watches Diego's vehicle depart with tactical escort. Their movement demonstrates professional protocols, proper spacing, overlapping fields of fire, coordinated security. Someone's trained these men in military doctrine, transformed them into operators. Her satellite phone connects to Marcus's secure network, uploading gathered intelligence. The former scout sniper's patience shapes their resistance, gathering information before striking. Against professional opponents, knowledge becomes the deadliest weapon. Mike's voice whispers through encrypted channels. More medical supplies arriving, setting up full surgical capabilities from what I can see. The hardware store manager's position provides crucial intelligence about cartel infrastructure development. MIA's computer displays growing patterns, medical facilities, security protocols, professional expansion transforming broken ridge. Her combat experience recognizes military methodology, systematic control requiring serious resources and training. Through carefully angled mirrors, she tracks another patrol passing the clinic. Their movement speaks of professional background, tactical awareness, proper procedures, coordinated responses. These men bring military precision to cartel operations. The radio carries coded signals as Carlos reports increased drone activity. The cartel's surveillance grows more sophisticated, using military-grade equipment to maintain control. But they never suspect the town vet monitors their operations, gathering intelligence with professional patience. Maya's hidden cameras document every detail: patrol patterns, equipment types, tactical procedures. Each piece adds to their understanding of the cartel's operation, reveals professional capabilities requiring serious resources and training. Her computer screens display thermal imaging of underground expansion, facilities requiring specialized medical support. The equipment orders suggest preparation for major operations, development beyond normal criminal enterprise. Through her window's reflection, she watches more vehicles arrive at the Webster property. Construction continues under armed escort, transforming the former ranch into a fortified base. The cartel's operation demonstrates military precision, professional coordination. Diego's visit provides additional intelligence, confirmation of medical facility development, evidence of professional background, hints of larger operation. Mia's combat experience recognizes systematic expansion rather than random occupation. The radio carries Mike's update. More specialized equipment arriving. They're building something big out there. The hardware store manager's position reveals crucial details about cartel infrastructure development. Through sophisticated sensors, MIA monitors growing patterns, professional security, tactical procedures, coordinated expansion. Her military training recognizes systematic control, requiring serious resources and training. The clinic's cameras capture another patrol passing. 4 men moving with tactical precision, maintaining professional protocols. Someone's transformed these cartel soldiers into trained operators, provided military-grade capabilities. Her satellite phone connects to secure networks, uploading gathered intelligence to Marcus's operation. Patient resistance requires professional observation, understanding opponents before engaging. Against military-grade adversaries, knowledge determines survival. MIA's computer displays thermal imaging of continued construction, expanding facilities, requiring sophisticated support. The cartel's operation grows more complex daily, demonstrating capabilities beyond normal criminal enterprise. Through carefully positioned mirrors, she tracks vehicle movements while maintaining her cover. The friendly vet treating their animals never draws suspicion, allowing professional intelligence gathering beneath peaceful appearance. The radio carries coded signals as team members report increased activity. The cartel's operation expands with military precision, transforming Broken Ridge into controlled territory. But they never suspect the town's veterinarian analyzes their every move, gathering intelligence with combat-trained patients. Mike Reynolds stacks lumber at Thompson's Hardware with practiced efficiency, but his veteran's instincts track the cartel vehicles passing outside. 4 armored SUVs move in tactical formation, their occupants carrying sophisticated weapons that shouldn't be available to civilians. Through the store's security cameras, he documents another piece of the pattern transforming Broken Ridge. Behind the counter, his computer quietly logs the day's purchases: industrial equipment, construction materials, specialized tools flowing into cartel operations. Every transaction adds to their intelligence gathering, revealing infrastructure development beyond normal criminal enterprise. The store's bell chimes as cartel contractors enter, their shopping list revealing another phase of underground expansion. Mike maintains his cover as the helpful manager while noting equipment types, project requirements, tactical implications. 3 tours in Iraq taught him to gather intelligence through peaceful observation. Concrete reinforcement on this scale requires serious engineering, he comments casually, pulling stock numbers for their order. The contractors discuss specifications in Spanish, unaware that Mike's combat experience recognizes military-grade construction requirements. His radio, hidden beneath the counter, vibrates. Mia reporting increased medical supply shipments to the Webster property. The cartel's operation grows more sophisticated daily, establishing infrastructure that suggests permanent occupation rather than temporary control. Through carefully positioned mirrors, he watches another patrol pass the store. Their movement demonstrates professional training, proper spacing, tactical awareness, coordinated responses. Someone's transformed these men into military operators, provided capabilities beyond normal cartel resources. The contractor's order includes specialized ventilation equipment, suggesting continued underground development. Mike's engineering background from the Corps recognizes patterns in their requirements: reinforced chambers, security features, infrastructure, speaking of serious operational planning. His computer screen shows thermal imaging of construction sites, captured by hidden sensors throughout town. The cartel's expansion continues beneath Broken Ridge, transforming the region with military precision. Every supply order reveals another piece of their operation. The radio carries Carlos's update. Heavy equipment moving through the copper mine access road. They're expanding faster than expected. The ranch hand's position provides crucial intelligence about cartel movements across controlled territory. More vehicles arrive outside, tactical teams maintaining professional security, while contractors load supplies. Their movement speaks of military background, precise, coordinated, demonstrating protocols beyond criminal organization. Through the store's cameras, Mike documents equipment types, construction materials, project requirements flowing into Cartel. Operations. Every detail adds to their understanding of sophisticated infrastructure development beneath Broken Ridge. His computer logs specialty orders, industrial-grade electrical systems, reinforced structural components, security features, suggesting serious operational planning. The pattern reveals military-grade facilities requiring professional engineering and substantial resources. The radio vibrates with Amaya's coded signal. Medical equipment arriving matches combat support requirements. The veterinarian's position allows crucial intelligence gathering about Cartel medical capabilities and operational preparation. Outside, drone patrols maintain systematic coverage of Broken Ridge territory. The Cartel's surveillance grows more sophisticated, using military-grade equipment to establish controlled zones. But they never suspect the hardware store manager analyzes their supply chains. Mike's engineering experience recognizes patterns in construction requirements, specialized ventilation, reinforced chambers, security features suggesting permanent facilities rather than temporary bases. The Cartel's operation demonstrates professional planning and serious resources. Through carefully angled mirrors, he tracks another tactical team passing the store. Their movement speaks of military training, proper procedures, coordinated responses, professional awareness. Someone's provided these men with sophisticated capabilities. The contractors finish loading supplies, their vehicles departing under armed escort. Mike's combat experience notes their tactical formation, security protocols, professional coordination, transforming criminal activity into military operation. His computer displays thermal imaging of underground expansion, facilities requiring specialized engineering support. The equipment orders suggest preparation for major operations, development beyond normal Cartel infrastructure. The radio carries coded signals as team members report increased activity. The Cartel's operation grows more complex daily, establishing sophisticated facilities beneath Broken Ridge's surface. Every supply order reveals another piece of their plan. Through the store's security system, Mike documents patrol patterns while maintaining his cover. The helpful hardware manager never draws suspicion, allowing professional intelligence gathering beneath peaceful appearance. More vehicles arrive at the Webster property, construction continuing under armed protection. The Cartel's expansion demonstrates military precision, transforming former ranch land into fortified bases with sophisticated capabilities. His computer logs specialized orders, security systems, communications equipment, tactical gear flowing through carefully managed supply chains. The pattern reveals professional operation requiring serious resources and coordinated planning. The radio vibrates with Carlos's update. New construction starting at the copper mine. They're establishing multiple sites. The ranch hand's position provides crucial intelligence about Cartel expansion across controlled territory. Through position sensors, Mike monitors growing patterns, professional security, tactical procedures, coordinated development, suggesting serious operational planning. His military experience recognizes systematic control requiring sophisticated support. The store's cameras capture another patrol passing. 4 men moving with tactical precision, maintaining professional protocols. Someone's transformed these. Cartel soldiers into trained operators, provided military-grade capabilities. His satellite phone connects to secure networks, uploading gathered intelligence to Marcus's operation. Patient resistance requires professional observation, understanding opponents before engaging. Against military-grade adversaries, knowledge determines survival. Mike's computer displays thermal imaging of continued construction, expanding facilities requiring sophisticated support. The cartel's operation grows more complex daily, demonstrating capabilities beyond normal criminal enterprise. Through carefully positioned mirrors, he tracks vehicle movements while maintaining his cover. The friendly store manager helping with construction supplies never draws suspicion, allowing professional intelligence gathering beneath peaceful appearance. The radio carries coded signals as team members report increased activity. The cartel's operation expands with military precision, transforming Broken Ridge into controlled territory. But they never suspect the hardware store manager analyzes their supply chains. His computer logs another specialized order: industrial equipment, security systems, tactical gear, suggesting serious operational development. Every transaction reveals another piece of their pattern: infrastructure beyond normal criminal enterprise. Through the store's cameras, Mike documents patrol movements while helping contractors load supplies. His combat experience recognizes military protocols, professional coordination transforming cartel activities into sophisticated operations. The radio carries a Myers update: medical facilities expanding beyond trauma response capabilities. The veterinarian's position reveals crucial details about cartel medical infrastructure and operational preparation. Mike's engineering background analyzes construction requirements, specialized systems, reinforced structures, security features, suggesting permanent facilities. The pattern reveals military-grade operation requiring professional support and serious resources. Through carefully angled mirrors, he watches tactical teams maintain perimeter security. Their movement demonstrates professional training, proper procedures, coordinated responses, sophisticated capabilities beyond normal cartel operations. The contractors depart under armed escort, their vehicles moving with tactical precision. Mike's combat experience notes their formation, security protocols, professional coordination, establishing systematic control over Broken Ridge territory. His computer displays thermal imaging of underground expansion, facilities requiring specialized engineering support. The equipment orders suggest preparation for major operations, development beyond normal criminal infrastructure. The radio carries coded signals as team members report increased activity. The cartel's operation grows more complex daily, establishing sophisticated facilities beneath Broken Ridge's surface. Every supply order reveals another piece of their plan. Through the store's security system, Mike documents patrol patterns. While maintaining his cover, the helpful hardware manager never draws suspicion, allowing professional intelligence gathering beneath peaceful appearance. Marcus studies thermal imaging of the Webster property through his spotting scope. Shadow, lying motionless beside him. 3 miles out, the abandoned copper mine's elevated position provides perfect observation of cartel operations. Their security patrols maintain professional discipline, but they never think to check the old mining tunnels that honeycomb these hills. His tactical tablet displays encrypted data from the team's surveillance network. Mia's intelligence from the vet clinic, Mike's supply chain analysis, Carlos's observation of patrol patterns. Every piece builds their understanding of the cartel's sophisticated operation. The construction continues beneath the former ranch, expanding facilities requiring specialized equipment and professional engineering. Through his scope, Marcus tracks vehicle movements, security protocols, tactical procedures demonstrating military precision rather than criminal chaos. Shadow's ears prick forward, detecting movement before human senses register the threat. Marcus adjusts his position, using natural cover as a cartel drone sweeps the ridgeline. Their surveillance grows more sophisticated daily, but they rely too heavily on technology, forgetting older hunting skills. His radio carries Emaya's encrypted update. Medical facilities suggest preparation for sustained operations. They're building something permanent, The veterinarian's position provides crucial intelligence about cartel infrastructure development. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus observes another patrol rotation. 8 men moving with tactical discipline, maintaining professional security protocols. Their equipment, their movement, their coordination all speak of serious training beyond normal cartel capabilities. The tablet displays Mike's latest supply analysis. Underground expansion requires specialized ventilation, reinforced chambers, security features suggesting major operational planning. The hardware store manager's engineering background reveals patterns in cartel construction. Shadow growls softly as more vehicles approach the Webster property. Marcus counts 4 armored SUVs, their occupants carrying military-grade weapons, with thermal optics and suppressors. Someone's providing sophisticated hardware, transforming thugs into professional operators. His scope finds Manuel Herrera directing operations with cold efficiency. The cartel commander's movements demonstrate formal military training, tactical awareness, professional coordination, strategic planning beyond criminal enterprise. Carlos's voice whispers through encrypted channels. New construction starting at multiple sites. They're establishing a network. The ranch hand's intimate knowledge of local terrain provides crucial intelligence about cartel expansion. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks underground development, specialized facilities, reinforced structures, security systems suggesting permanent occupation. The cartel's operation demonstrates professional planning and serious resources. Shadows. Combat training maintains perfect stillness as another drone passes overhead. Marcus studies its patrol pattern, noting blind spots and coverage gaps. Their sophisticated surveillance relies on predictable protocols, creating exploitable weaknesses. The tablet displays EMIR's medical supply analysis. Equipment orders match combat support requirements. They're preparing for serious operations. The veterinarian's military background recognizes patterns in cartel medical infrastructure. Through his scope, Marcus observes tactical teams maintaining perimeter security. Their movement speaks of professional training, proper procedures, coordinated responses, sophisticated capabilities beyond normal criminal operations. His radio carries Mike's update. Industrial equipment arriving suggests major underground expansion. They're building something big. The hardware store manager's position reveals crucial details about cartel infrastructure development. Shadow's ears track vehicle movement before visual confirmation. Marcus counts another convoy entering cartel territory. Construction equipment, supply trucks, tactical escorts demonstrating professional coordination. The tablet displays thermal imaging of underground facilities, expanding networks requiring specialized support. Every detail reveals another piece of their pattern, military-grade operation, establishing permanent control over Broken Ridge. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus studies security protocols as shifts change. The cartel's operators maintain professional discipline, but their training works against them, creating predictable patterns, exploitable routines. Carlos reports increased drone activity, surveillance expanding across controlled territory. The cartel's operation grows more sophisticated daily, using military-grade equipment to establish systematic coverage. His scope finds Diego Reyes directing tactical teams with professional precision. The cartel lieutenant's background becomes clearer with each observation. Formal military training, strategic planning, sophisticated coordination. Shadow remains motionless as vehicle patrols pass below their position. Marcus analyzes their movement, proper spacing, overlapping fields of fire, coordinated responses, demonstrating serious training. The tablet displays EMIR's latest intelligence. Medical facilities expand beyond trauma response. They're preparing for long-term operations. The veterinarian's combat experience recognizes patterns in cartel infrastructure. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks construction patterns, reinforced chambers, specialized systems, security features, suggesting major operational planning. The cartel's expansion demonstrates professional engineering and substantial resources. His radio carries Mike's encrypted update. Supply chains indicate multiple development sites. They're establishing permanent presence. The hardware store. Manager's position provides crucial intelligence about cartel infrastructure. Shadow's combat training detects approaching patrols before visual confirmation. Marcus adjusts their position, using natural cover as tactical teams sweep the area with professional precision. The tablet displays thermal imaging of underground expansion, specialized facilities, security systems, infrastructure, suggesting serious operational development. Every detail reveals another piece of their pattern. Through his scope, Marcus observes Herrera coordinating operations with cold efficiency. The cartel commander's movements demonstrate military precision, tactical protocols, professional coordination, strategic planning. Carlos's voice carries coded signals. New construction expanding faster than expected. They're building something significant. The ranch hand's knowledge of local terrain provides crucial intelligence about cartel development. Shadow maintains perfect stillness as drones sweep overhead. Marcus studies their patrol patterns, noting predictable protocols and exploitable weaknesses in sophisticated surveillance. The tablet displays Emir's analysis. Medical equipment matches military-grade facilities. They're preparing for major operations. The veterinarian's combat background recognizes patterns in cartel infrastructure. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks tactical teams maintaining perimeter security. Their movement speaks of professional training, coordinated responses, sophisticated capabilities beyond normal criminal operations. His radio carries Mike's update. Industrial supplies suggest reinforced construction. They're establishing permanent bases. The hardware store manager's position reveals crucial details about cartel expansion. Shadow's ears track vehicle movements through controlled territory. Marcus counts another convoy, supply trucks, tactical escorts, construction equipment demonstrating professional coordination. The tablet displays thermal imaging of underground facilities requiring specialized support. Every detail adds to their understanding. Military-grade operation, establishing systematic control over Broken Ridge. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus studies security protocols during shift changes. The cartel's operators maintain professional discipline, but their training creates predictable patterns, exploitable routines. Carlos reports increased surveillance activity, drone coverage expanding across controlled territory. The cartel's operation grows more complex daily, using military-grade equipment to establish systematic control. His scope finds Herrera directing operations with tactical precision. The cartel commander's background becomes clearer with each observation. Formal military training, strategic planning, sophisticated coordination. Shadow remains motionless as patrol teams pass below their position. Marcus analyzes their movement. Proper spacing, overlapping security, coordinated responses demonstrating professional training. The tablet displays Maya's latest intelligence. Medical facilities suggest long-term operations. They're building something permanent. The veterinarian's combat experience recognizes patterns in cartel infrastructure. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks construction patterns, specialized systems, reinforced chambers, security features suggesting major operational planning. The cartel's expansion demonstrates professional engineering and substantial resources. His radio carries Mike's encrypted update. Supply chains indicate multiple development sites. They're establishing permanent presence. the hardware store. Manager's position provides crucial intelligence about cartel infrastructure. Shadow's combat training detects approaching patrols before visual confirmation. Marcus adjusts their position, using natural cover as tactical teams sweep the area with professional precision. The tablet displays thermal imaging of underground expansion, specialized facilities, security systems, infrastructure, suggesting serious operational development. Every detail reveals another piece of their pattern. Through his scope, Marcus observes tactical teams maintaining perimeter security. The cartel's operation demonstrates military precision, professional coordination, sophisticated capabilities. Beyond normal criminal enterprise, moonlight bathes the copper mine's abandoned processing plant as Marcus finalizes their first strike plan. Around the tactical display, his team studies patrol patterns documented through weeks of patient observation. The cartel's professional security protocols have created predictable routines, their training working against them. Their drone coverage follows standard military doctrine, Carlos notes, pointing to mapped flight paths. 20-minute rotations, overlapping sectors, but fixed patterns we can exploit. The ranch hand's analysis demonstrates why Marcus chose him for surveillance. Attention to crucial details. MIA reviews medical supply routes on the tactical display. They're centralizing trauma response at the Webster property. Secondary facilities are minimal. Strike here and their medical support fragments. Her combat medic experience identifies critical vulnerabilities in cartel infrastructure. Mike spreads construction diagrams across the planning table. His engineering background, reading between the lines. Underground expansion created structural weaknesses. Precise charges here and here will collapse key access points without risking civilian areas. The hardware store manager's knowledge proves invaluable. Shadow's ears track movement outside, their hidden command post. But the dog's relaxed posture confirms it's just local wildlife. Marcus studies thermal imaging of cartel patrols, their professional discipline creating opportunities for those who understand military protocols. Their security teams maintain textbook formations, Marcus observes, fingers tracing patrol routes. Three-man teams, overlapping fields of fire, proper spacing, but they're following procedures too rigidly. His sniper's patience has mapped their patterns, identified exploitable gaps. Mia points to documented medical transport schedules. Supply convoys move like clockwork. Same routes, same times, minimal escort. They're prioritizing predictability over tactical flexibility. Her military background recognizes weaknesses. In cartel logistics, Carlos adjusts drone coverage maps, highlighting sensor blind spots. They rely too heavily on technology, forget about old-school observation posts. These ridgelines provide perfect firing positions their thermal imaging can't detect. The ranch hand's intimate knowledge of local terrain proves crucial. Mike analyzes structural diagrams of underground facilities. Ventilation systems require regular maintenance. Cut power here, and their whole subsurface operation starts suffocating within hours. His engineering experience identifies critical infrastructure vulnerabilities. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus tracks another patrol passing below their position. The cartel's operators move with professional precision. But their training creates predictable patterns, weaknesses that patient hunters can exploit. First target has to be their command and control, Mia suggests, indicating communication arrays on tactical displays. Disrupt their coordination, force them to fall back on less sophisticated protocols. Her combat experience understands the importance of degrading enemy capabilities. Carlos marks observation posts on terrain maps. Local ranch hands report increased activity at these locations. They're expanding faster than their security can effectively cover. The team's intelligence network provides crucial information about cartel operations. Mike reviews demolition plans with professional attention. Precision charges here will seal primary access tunnels. Secondary explosions in ventilation systems create chaos without structural collapse. His engineering background ensures controlled damage rather than random destruction. Shadow's combat training maintains perfect stillness as drone patrols pass overhead. Marcus studies their movement through sophisticated optics, noting blind spots and coverage gaps in Cartel surveillance. Their medical response teams are professional but limited, Mia analyzes, marking critical routes. Disrupt their primary facility and they'll have to evacuate serious casualties across difficult terrain. Her military background identifies tactical advantages. Carlos adjusts surveillance feeds showing Cartel patrol patterns. They maintain proper security protocols during shift changes, but timing stays consistent, creates windows we can exploit. The ranch hand's observation provides crucial tactical opportunities. Mike spreads updated construction diagrams across the planning table. They're reinforcing key structures, but expansion created new vulnerabilities. Precise strikes here will have cascading effects through their infrastructure. His engineering knowledge proves invaluable. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks tactical teams maintaining perimeter security. The Cartel's operators demonstrate professional discipline, but their training makes them predictable, creating opportunities for patient predators. Supply convoys are their most vulnerable point, Mia notes, studying logistics patterns. Medical transport requires specific conditions, limits their tactical options during movement. Her combat medic experience identifies critical weaknesses. Carlos marks drone blind spots on tactical displays. They're expanding surveillance coverage, but terrain features create dead zones their sensors can't penetrate. The ranch hand's intimate knowledge of local geography proves crucial. Mike analyzes power distribution systems feeding underground facilities. Cut these junction points, and their backup generators won't maintain critical operations, forces them to surface or suffocate. His engineering background ensures maximum impact from minimal action. Shadow's ears track vehicle movement before visual confirmation. Marcus counts another convoy entering Cartel territory. Supply trucks and tactical escorts maintaining professional formation but predictable patterns. Their command structure follows military hierarchy, Mia observes, marking key positions. Disrupt leadership communications, and their professional discipline becomes a weakness rather than strength. Her combat experience understands psychological aspects of tactical operations. Carlos adjusts observation post locations based on documented patrol routes. They're expanding too quickly to maintain proper security coverage. Creates exploitation opportunities if we time it right. The ranch hand's analysis provides tactical advantages. Mike reviews demolition plans, showing cascading effects through Cartel infrastructure. Precision charges targeting these structural points will collapse key facilities while preserving civilian areas. His engineering knowledge ensures controlled destruction. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus studies security protocols during shift changes. The Cartel's operators maintain professional discipline, but their training creates predictable windows of opportunity. Medical evacuation routes are limited by terrain, Mia points out on tactical displays. Disrupt their primary facility, and casualties have to move through areas we can control. Her military background identifies strategic advantages. Carlos marks updated patrol patterns documented through patient observation. Their security teams maintain proper protocols, but consistent timing creates exploitable patterns. The ranch hand's attention to detail proves invaluable. Mike analyses ventilation systems supporting underground operations. Target these junction points and environmental controls fail throughout their facilities. Forces tactical decisions under pressure. His engineering experience identifies critical vulnerabilities. Shadow's combat training detects approaching patrols before visual. Confirmation. Marcus adjusts their position, using natural cover as tactical teams sweep the area with professional precision, but predictable patterns. Their command and control relies on sophisticated communications, Mia notes, studying signal patterns. Disrupt their coordination, and professional training becomes a liability rather than asset. Her combat experience understands psychological impacts. Carlos updates surveillance feeds, showing cartel expansion patterns. They're establishing multiple facilities, but security coverage can't keep pace with development. Creates tactical opportunities. The ranch hand's observation provides crucial intelligence. Mike spreads structural diagrams, highlighting critical vulnerabilities. Precision strikes here will trigger systematic collapse of underground facilities while preserving surface structures. His engineering knowledge ensures controlled effects. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks tactical teams, maintaining perimeter security. The cartel's operators demonstrate professional discipline, but their training makes them predictable, creating opportunities for patient hunters. Supply lines follow consistent routes and schedules, Mia analyzes, marking logistics patterns. Disrupt their predictable movements, force them to adapt under pressure. Her military background identifies tactical advantages. Carlos adjusts drone coverage maps, showing blind spots and dead zones. Their surveillance relies too heavily on technology, forgets about traditional observation methods. The ranch hand's intimate knowledge of local terrain proves crucial. Mike reviews power distribution systems supporting cartel operations. Target these junction points, and critical systems fail throughout their facilities, forces them to surface or suffocate. His engineering background ensures maximum impact. Shadow maintains perfect stillness as vehicle patrols pass below their position. Marcus studies their movement through sophisticated optics, noting predictable patterns and exploitable weaknesses in cartel security. The team finalizes their strike plan, each member contributing specialized knowledge to ensure maximum effect with minimal civilian impact. The cartel brought military precision to criminal enterprise, but they forgot the most important lesson. Sometimes the deadliest predators are the ones you never see coming. Midnight shrouds the Webster property in darkness as Manuel Herrera studies tactical displays in his command center. His sophisticated surveillance systems track normal patrol patterns, but something feels wrong. 20 years of special forces experience taught him to trust combat intuition. Movement at the copper mine, a surveillance operator reports. Thermal imaging showing heat signatures that vanish too quickly for natural causes. Possible equipment malfunction, running diagnostics. The drones maintain their patrol patterns, sophisticated sensors searching empty terrain. Diego approaches with professional urgency, laying out updated patrol reports. Security teams report increased local activity, but no direct contact. Civilians adapting to curfew restrictions faster than expected. The lieutenant's military training recognizes unusual patterns. Through reinforced windows, Herrera watches his tactical teams maintain perimeter security. Their movement demonstrates professional discipline, but something about the night's rhythm feels wrong. Combat instinct warns of hidden threats preparing to strike. Signal interference on secondary channels. Communications specialists report, analyzing encrypted traffic. Pattern suggests sophisticated jamming rather than natural distortion. The cartel's military-grade equipment encounters resistance it shouldn't face in rural territory. Herrera's tactical display shows normal patrol coverage, drone surveillance maintaining standard patterns. But combat experience reads deeper meanings. Too much quiet, too much order, the calm before coordinated action. Seismic sensors detecting minor disturbances, another operator reports. Underground movement near ventilation junctions, possibly maintenance teams. The sophisticated monitoring systems track normal activities, missing crucial differences. Diego studies surveillance feeds with growing concern. Local behavior changed too quickly, shows organized adaptation rather than random response. His military background recognizes patterns, indicating professional opposition. Through command center windows, Herrera observes another patrol rotation. His operators maintain tactical discipline, but combat instinct suggests they're being watched, analyzed, their patterns documented by patient hunters. Power fluctuations in secondary systems, engineering teams report. Backup generators engaging according to protocols. The sophisticated infrastructure responds to minor disruptions, masking approaching threats. Herrera's screens display normal security coverage, professional operators maintaining standard procedures. But 20 years of combat experience recognize the signs. Too much routine, too much predictability. The quiet before strategic strikes. Medical supplies arriving on schedule. Logistics coordinators confirm. Transport teams maintaining standard routes and timing. The careful organization creates patterns that patient observers can exploit. Diego checks perimeter reports with tactical precision. Construction teams report minor geological disturbances, possibly natural seismic activity. His military training notes unusual frequencies in normal operations. Through sophisticated surveillance, Herrera tracks drone coverage across controlled territory. His operators maintain professional protocols, but combat intuition warns they're missing crucial details. Communications check normal on primary channels, specialists report. Encrypted traffic flowing according to security protocols. The military-grade systems function perfectly, creating predictable patterns. Herrera's tactical displays show standard patrol movements, security teams maintaining proper formation. But Special Forces experience recognizes the danger. Too much order, too much system, the calm before chaos. Ventilation systems operating within normal parameters, engineering teams confirm. Environmental controls stable throughout underground facilities. The sophisticated infrastructure follows procedures, missing approaching threats. Diego studies logistics reports with professional attention. Supply convoys maintaining standard routes and schedules without incident. His military background notes unusual patterns in normal operations. Through command center screens, Herrera observes security protocols during shift changes. His operators demonstrate tactical discipline, but combat instinct warns they're being studied, their patterns mapped. Drone patrols reporting normal activity. Surveillance operators confirm. Thermal imaging shows expected heat signatures. The sophisticated sensors maintain coverage, missing crucial details in familiar patterns. Herrera's displays show standard security operations, professional teams following proper procedures. But years of combat experience recognize approaching danger. Too much routine, too much predictability. Medical facilities report normal status. Coordination teams confirm. Response units maintaining standard readiness. The careful organization creates patterns that patient observers can exploit. Diego checks construction reports with tactical precision. Underground expansion proceeding according to schedule without incident. His military training notes unusual quiet in normal operations. Through sophisticated optics, Herrera tracks patrol movements across controlled territory. His operators maintain professional protocols, but combat intuition warns of hidden threats. Preparing to strike. Power distribution stable across all facilities, engineering teams report. Backup systems maintaining standard readiness. The sophisticated infrastructure follows procedures, missing approaching danger. Herrera's tactical screens show normal security coverage, drone surveillance maintaining standard patterns, but Special Forces experience recognizes the signs. Too much system, too much order, the quiet before coordinated action. Communications monitoring reports normal traffic. specialists confirm. Encrypted channels operating according to protocols. The military-grade systems function perfectly, creating predictable patterns. Diego studies security feeds with growing concern. Local activity patterns change too efficiently, suggests organized response. His military background recognizes signs indicating professional opposition. Through command center displays, Herrera observes another patrol rotation. His operators maintain tactical discipline, but combat instinct suggests they're being analyzed, their routines documented. Environmental controls functioning normally, engineering teams report. Ventilation systems operating within parameters. The sophisticated infrastructure responds to minor fluctuations, masking approaching threats. Herrera's screens show standard patrol movements, security teams maintaining proper procedures. But years of combat experience recognize danger signs. Dream. Too much predictability, too much routine. Medical transport teams maintaining schedule. Logistics coordinators confirm. Standard routes and timing unchanged. The careful organization creates patterns that patient observers can exploit. Diego checks perimeter sensors with tactical precision. Minor seismic disturbances near primary access points, possibly natural activity. His military training notes unusual patterns in normal operations. Through sophisticated surveillance, Herrera tracks security coverage across controlled territory. His operators maintain professional protocols, but combat intuition warns they're missing crucial details. Power. Systems operating normally, engineering teams confirm. Backup generators maintaining standard readiness. The sophisticated infrastructure follows procedures, missing approaching danger. Herrera's tactical displays show normal patrol movements, drone surveillance maintaining standard patterns, but Special Forces experience recognizes approaching threats. Indeed, too much order, too much system. Communications check complete on all channels, specialists report. Encrypted traffic flowing according to protocols. The military-grade systems function perfectly, creating predictable patterns. Diego studies logistics reports with professional attention. Supply movements maintaining standard routes without incident. His military background notes unusual quiet. In normal operations, through command center screens, Herrera observes security protocols during shift changes. His operators demonstrate tactical discipline, but combat instinct warns they're being studied, their patterns mapped. Drone patrols reporting normal activity, surveillance operators confirm. Thermal imaging shows expected signatures. The sophisticated sensors maintain coverage, missing crucial details in familiar patterns. Something's coming. Herrera's combat instinct screams warning signals as his command center maintains perfect operation. His security teams follow perfect protocols. His surveillance systems show perfect patterns. 20 years of special forces. Experience taught him to recognize the calm before coordinated strikes. His tactical screens display normal operations, but combat mathematics calculate approaching chaos. They brought military precision to cartel operations, transformed criminal enterprise into professional organization. But something tells him they're about to learn why some predators wait patiently in darkness, studying patterns, preparing to strike. Marcus watches through his scope as cartel communication arrays go dark across the Webster property, sophisticated equipment failing in careful sequence. Mia's medical knowledge identified critical power junctions. Mike's engineering expertise placed precision charges, and Carlos's terrain awareness provided perfect infiltration routes. Shadow's ears track movement as tactical teams respond with professional urgency, their training driving them to follow protocols that make them predictable. Through thermal imaging, Marcus counts patrol units rushing to secure backup systems exactly as anticipated. Primary communications disabled. Maya reports through encrypted channels. medical coordination fragmented, response teams operating on secondary protocols. Her combat medic experience recognizes chaos building in cartel operations. Carlos monitors drone coverage from concealed positions. Their surveillance is adapting, but terrain features mask our movement. They're flying predetermined patterns, even under stress. The ranch hand's intimate knowledge of local geography proves crucial. Mike's voice carries professional satisfaction through secure comms. Structural charges primed, underground access points targeted for systematic collapse. His engineering background ensures maximum impact with controlled destruction. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus tracks Herrera's security teams responding to communications failure. Their movement demonstrates military discipline, but combat training creates predictable reactions, weaknesses that patient hunters exploit. Medical evacuation routes compromised, Mia confirms, monitoring cartel responses. Their trauma teams are following standard procedures, clustering resources at vulnerable points. Her military experience identifies tactical opportunities. Carlos adjusts observation positions as drone patterns shift. They're increasing surveillance coverage, but maintaining fixed rotations, creating new blind spots we can exploit. The ranch hand's analysis provides crucial tactical advantages. Mike monitors structural sensors showing underground movement. They're following emergency protocols, concentrating forces exactly where we want them. His engineering knowledge ensures devastating effects from precise strikes. Shadow remains motionless as tactical teams sweep nearby positions, their professional discipline making them blind to threats hiding in plain sight. Marcus tracks their movement through thermal imaging, noting patterns that combat experience makes predictable. Secondary medical facilities activating, Mia reports, studying cartel responses. Response teams spreading thin, trying to maintain coverage, creating exploitation opportunities. Her combat background recognizes growing vulnerabilities. Carlos marks updated patrol routes on tactical displays. Their security teams are adjusting patterns but maintaining professional spacing. Makes their movement easy to predict. The ranch hand's observation provides strategic advantages. Mike analyzes power distribution readings from underground facilities. Environmental controls struggling to compensate. They'll have to surface or suffer systematic failure. His engineering expertise ensures mounting pressure on cartel operations. Through his scope, Marcus watches Herrera directing responses with tactical precision. The cartel commander's military training drives him to follow protocols, making his reactions predictable to patient observers. Trauma response degrading across their network, Mia confirms, tracking medical movements. They're following standard triage procedures, creating concentrated targets. Her combat medic experience identifies critical weaknesses. Carlos monitors surveillance coverage as drones adjust patterns. Their sensors are searching methodically, but terrain features mask our positions. They rely too heavily on technology. The ranch hand's knowledge of local geography proves invaluable. Mike checks demolition charges targeting key structural points. Underground stability compromised according to plan. Collapse sequence ready for initiation. His engineering background ensures controlled destruction of cartel infrastructure. Shadows. Combat training maintains perfect stillness as security teams pass nearby positions. Marcus studies their movement through sophisticated optics, noting how professional discipline creates exploitable patterns. Medical coordination failing between facilities. Maya reports through encrypted channels. Response teams operating independently, losing tactical cohesion. Her military experience recognizes growing chaos in cartel operations. Carlos adjusts observation posts as patrol patterns shift. Their security teams are maintaining textbook formations even under stress. Makes their movement easy to anticipate. The ranch hand's analysis provides tactical advantages. Mike monitors seismic sensors showing underground activity. They're concentrating forces in reinforced chambers exactly according to protocols. His engineering knowledge ensures maximum impact from precise strikes. Through thermal imaging, Marcus tracks tactical teams responding to communications failure. Their training drives them to follow procedures, creating predictable patterns that patient hunters can exploit. Trauma capabilities degrading systematically, Mia confirms, studying cartel responses. Medical teams clustering at designated points, creating vulnerable concentrations. Her combat background identifies strategic opportunities. Carlos marks drone blind spots on tactical displays. Their surveillance coverage is increasing but maintaining fixed patterns, creating new exploitation opportunities. The ranch hands. Observation proves crucial for operations. Mike analyzes structural integrity data from underground facilities. Environmental systems approaching critical threshold. They'll have to make tactical decisions under pressure. His engineering expertise ensures mounting chaos. Shadow's ears track movement as security teams sweep nearby positions. Marcus studies their responses through sophisticated optics, noting how professional training makes them predictable under stress. Medical evacuation routes compromised across network. Maya reports through secure channels. Response teams following standard protocols despite degraded capabilities. Her combat experience recognizes tactical advantages. Carlos monitors surveillance coverage as patrol patterns adjust. Their security teams maintain professional discipline even during chaos, makes their movement easy to predict. The ranch hands. Analysis provides strategic opportunities. Mike checks demolition charges, targeting critical infrastructure. Underground systems compromised according to plan. Collapse sequence prepared for initiation. His engineering background ensures controlled destruction. Through his scope, Marcus watches Herrera coordinating responses with tactical precision. The cartel commander's military training drives him to follow procedures, creating predictable patterns that patient observers exploit. Trauma response degrading systematically, Mia confirms, tracking medical movements. Their teams are following textbook procedures despite mounting pressure. Her combat medic experience identifies growing vulnerabilities. Carlos adjusts observation, positions as drone coverage shifts. Their surveillance maintains fixed patterns even under stress, creating exploitation opportunities. The ranch hand's knowledge of local terrain proves invaluable. Mike monitors power distribution, showing systematic failure. Environmental controls approaching critical threshold. They'll surface or suffer infrastructure collapse. His engineering expertise ensures mounting pressure. Shadow remains motionless as tactical teams pass nearby positions. Marcus studies their movement through thermal imaging, noting how professional discipline makes them vulnerable to patient hunters. Medical coordination failing between facilities. Mia reports through encrypted channels. Response teams clustering at predictable points, creating tactical opportunities. Her military experience recognizes growing chaos. Carlos marks updated patrol routes on tactical displays. Their security teams maintain textbook formations despite degraded communications, makes their movement easy to anticipate. The ranch hand's analysis provides strategic advantages. Mike analyzes structural sensors showing underground activity. They're concentrating forces exactly where planned. Collapse sequence will have maximum effect. His engineering knowledge ensures devastating impact. Through sophisticated optics, Marcus tracks cartel responses to mounting pressure. Their professional training drives them to follow protocols, creating patterns that patient hunters exploit with deadly precision. The strike continues unfolding according to plan, each team member contributing specialized knowledge to ensure systematic destruction of cartel operations. They brought military precision to criminal enterprise, but forgot the most important lesson. Sometimes the deadliest predators are the ones who study their prey, waiting patiently for the perfect moment to strike. Herrera's command center erupts in controlled chaos as systems fail in calculated sequence. Primary communications down, backup generators struggling. Surveillance coverage fragmenting across carefully engineered breakpoints. His military training recognizes professional methodology behind mounting catastrophe. Underground facilities. Reporting critical pressure. Engineering teams warn through secondary channels. Environmental controls failing. Ventilation systems compromised. The sophisticated infrastructure demonstrates systematic vulnerability to precision strikes. Diego coordinates tactical responses with professional urgency, deploying security teams according to protocols that make them predictable. Through command center windows, Herrera watches his operators maintain disciplined formations even as chaos builds. Medical coordination degraded across network. Response teams report through backup communications. Primary facility overwhelmed, secondary sites operating independently. The cartel's professional medical infrastructure shows systematic vulnerability. Surveillance screens display fragmented coverage as drone patterns adjust. Sophisticated sensors maintaining predetermined routes that create exploitable gaps. Herrera's combat experience recognizes tactical mathematics behind each failure. Structural integrity compromised in key chambers. Engineering teams warn through failing systems. Underground expansion creating cascading collapse potential. The cartel's military-grade facilities demonstrate vulnerability to precision targeting. Diego studies tactical displays showing security team movements. Our operators maintain professional discipline, but their patterns become predictable under stress. His military background recognizes growing weaknesses in their responses. Through sophisticated surveillance, Herrera tracks patrol units responding to systematic failures. Their training drives them to follow procedures, creating patterns that patient observers can exploit with deadly precision. Medical evacuation routes compromised, response coordinators report through secondary channels. Trauma teams clustering at designated points according to protocol. The cartel's professional medical system shows tactical vulnerability. Surveillance operators adjust drone coverage as systems degrade, sophisticated sensors maintaining fixed patterns that create blind spots. Herrera's combat experience recognizes methodical destruction of their capabilities. Underground pressure approaching critical threshold. Engineering teams warn through backup communications. Environmental controls failing systematically across reinforced chambers. The cartel's military-grade infrastructure demonstrates vulnerability. Diego coordinates security responses with professional precision, deploying tactical teams according to protocols that make their movements predictable. Through command center screens, Herrera watches his operators maintain discipline despite mounting chaos. Primary facility overwhelmed. Medical teams report through fragmented channels. Response units operating independently, losing tactical cohesion. The cartel's professional medical system shows systematic degradation. Surveillance displays show compromised coverage as drone patterns shift. Sophisticated sensors following predetermined routes that create exploitable weaknesses. Herrera's combat experience recognizes tactical mathematics behind each failure. Structural. Collapse imminent in key sections. Engineering teams warn through failing systems. Underground expansion creating cascading pressure points. The cartel's military-grade facilities demonstrate vulnerability to precision strikes. Diego studies tactical feeds showing security team deployments. Our operators maintain professional formations, but their movements become predictable under stress. His military background recognizes growing weaknesses in their responses. Through sophisticated optics, Herrera tracks patrol units responding to systematic failures. Their training drives them to follow procedures, creating patterns that patient observers can exploit with deadly efficiency. Medical coordination compromised, response teams report through secondary channels. Trauma units clustering at designated points according to protocol. The cartel's professional medical infrastructure shows tactical vulnerability. Surveillance operators adjust coverage as systems degrade. Sophisticated sensors maintaining fixed patterns that create blind spots. Herrera's combat experience recognizes methodical destruction of their capabilities, environmental controls failing across network, engineering teams worn through backup communications, underground pressure approaching critical threshold in reinforced chambers. The cartel's military-grade infrastructure demonstrates systematic vulnerability. Diego coordinates tactical responses with professional urgency, deploying security teams according to protocols that make them predictable. Through command center displays, Herrera watches his operators maintain discipline despite growing chaos. Response units operating independently, medical teams report through fragmented channels. Primary facility overwhelmed, losing tactical cohesion. The cartel's professional medical system shows systematic degradation. Surveillance screens show compromised coverage as drone patterns adjust, sophisticated sensors following predetermined routes that create exploitable gaps. Herrera's combat experience recognizes tactical mathematics behind each failure. Cascading collapse potential in key sections, engineering teams worn through failing systems. Underground expansion creating structural pressure points. The cartel's military-grade facilities demonstrate vulnerability to precision targeting. Diego studies tactical displays showing security team movements. Our operators maintain professional discipline, but their patterns become predictable under stress. His military background recognizes growing weaknesses in their responses. Through sophisticated surveillance, Herrera tracks patrol units responding to systematic failures. Their training drives them to follow procedures, creating patterns that patient observers can exploit with deadly precision. Trauma teams clustering at designated points. Response coordinators report through secondary channels. Medical evacuation routes compromised according to protocol. The cartel's professional medical infrastructure shows tactical vulnerability. Surveillance operators adjust drone coverage as systems degrade. Sophisticated sensors maintaining fixed patterns that create blind spots. Herrera's combat experience recognizes methodical destruction of their capabilities. Underground pressure critical in reinforced chambers, engineering teams worn through backup communications, environmental controls failing systematically across network. The cartel's military-grade infrastructure demonstrates vulnerability. Diego coordinates security responses with professional precision, deploying tactical teams according to protocols that make their movements predictable. Through command center screens, Herrera watches his operators maintain discipline despite mounting chaos. Through years of special forces experience, Herrera recognizes the tactical mathematics destroying his operation. Each system failure, each compromised position, each degraded capability shows professional methodology. They're not facing random resistance. They're being dismantled by patient hunters who studied their patterns, identified their vulnerabilities, and waited for perfect moment to strike. His command center maintains professional coordination even as chaos builds. Operators following protocols that make them predictable to observers who understand military doctrine. They brought tactical precision to cartel operations, but forgot the most important lesson. Sometimes the deadliest predators are the ones who wait in darkness, analyzing patterns before striking with devastating efficiency. The sophisticated infrastructure continues failing in calculated sequence. Each system, compromised according to tactical mathematics that demonstrate professional planning. Herrera's combat experience recognizes methodical destruction of capabilities they built with military precision. They're not just facing resistance, they're being hunted by predators who understand their protocols, their procedures, their predictable responses to mounting catastrophe. If you enjoyed this military thriller story about a former Marine Scout sniper who turned the tables on a cartel that messed with the wrong veteran, make sure to subscribe for more intense short stories about modern military warfare. Click the notification bell to never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. Comment below what you thought was the most intense moment in this story about an ex-Marine teaching cartel forces a deadly lesson about underestimating American veterans. See you in the next episode.